Thanks for listening to the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast, where each week we talk about a free piece or two of technology that you can use in your classroom. I'm your host, Shannon Martin. I'm a middle school teacher, technology coach, and personalized learning coordinator for my district.
And I'm her producer and husband, Fuzz.
Yay!
Husband first, producer second.
This is true.
Dog watcher first.
You were chief dog watcher.
Husband second. Producer third.
Yes.
And today, the baker of things.
Yeah, you've got all the jobs, all the tools in your belt.
Pizza.
All
I
the
made sourdough hot hamburger buns. I am going to be cooking up a...
We should point out that since we've been quarantined since forever ago, you've picked up baking.
Yeah, well, before...
You're like the bread man.
While we were in between pets, I had a Wilson, my sourdough starter. And that's who I fed every day.
Yeah.
Just to make myself feel whole. And here we are.
Back in a routine again.
Yeah.
So, episode 63.
Uh-huh.
We are here. We are prepped for school. I know some of you are already back. I know my friends in Texas are already going. Some in person, some online.
Some doing
some
a little
of my
bit
Illinois
of both.
friends are online. Here where I am located in Wisconsin, districts across are kind of a combination, but my district is starting face-to-face Tuesday and also virtual. So I have both students virtually and students face-to-face. So it's kind of a new adventure for everybody, but I think that our staff, I know, has embraced it, and they have been working so hard.
Yeah, you guys have been working all summer to make sure that this is going to be as seamless as possible, but there's so many variables.
There is, and I think it'll be good. I mean, it'll be the best that it can be. Everyone has a good attitude, and our students seem positive, and so that's all you really can ask for. We are all dealing with crazy right now, so.
For sure.
Yeah, so some tools to help. So I've been supporting my staff and kind of getting everybody geared up. And the one question that I have emailed to me more often than any other question is, what do you use for a digital whiteboard? And I know we've kind of teased this a month ago, hey, we're going to talk about whiteboards. I think everyone kind of has their own thing. I've seen teachers videotaping themselves in their showers to have a whiteboard space behind them. You haven't seen those?
No.
Yeah, there's been teachers that literally have their camera facing into their shower so they have a whiteboard space to teach on.
Sure.
That was definitely last spring, when everyone's just trying to make education happen.
Yeah.
I've seen, teachers, you have handheld whiteboards. Here at home, you have a giant whiteboard that stands in our...
I'm known as the whiteboard guy at work. I actually have a bandolier of whiteboard markers.
You do. You wear them across your chest.
Yeah. Mostly only for photo ops. It's really
Rambo.
not very practical in real life. But I received that for my birthday last year from one of a group of coworkers. But I love whiteboards, and honestly, even at work, we were just using Google Slides and drawing on there because we didn't realize we have one of the tools that we're going to talk about today.
You do. I was don't spoil it. You're always the one that says things before.
No, and in fact, it was the show prep that got me all
fired up and sending your friends things.
Yes.
Your coworkers, I should say. I mean, they're your friends.
They're friends and coworkers, partners.
It's a big party. Yeah, so digital whiteboards. It's a tool that it doesn't matter what content you teach or what grade level you're teaching. At some point, you need to explain something to your students online. Whether they're online and you're at school or you're both online, you got to be able to explain stuff. So I have 3 virtual, online, digital whiteboard tools.
That aren't physical
That are not physical whiteboards. They are not showers. They are not a whiteboard. It is not a thing to hold. It is a computer
not a smart board
program that looks
like a whiteboard.
So the first one we're going to talk about is called Notebook Cast. So it's notebookcast.com. Notebook Cast. There's a lot of options with this one. You can just create a whiteboard. Each whiteboard gets kind of its own little code. So what's neat about that is you can give the code to your students then, and you can work with your students. on a whiteboard, and it's just controlled by your class. Like you don't have a bunch of random people on your whiteboard, but you can work with your students simultaneously. You get to pick your board size. So if you're working on an iPad, it says like Galaxy Note, like 1200 to 600 pixels. Like you can pick the size notebook sheet that you want to use.
Yeah.
You title it, and then you give it some description. You hit create. It's free. I mean, it's right there.
Ka-chow.
You can also download it too if you want to, but to me this is the easiest way. Boom, I've got a whiteboard space. It starts with lined paper. There's a little hamburger in the upper right hand corner of your screen.
Delicious.
And then you have all the options. So pencils,
a hamburger menu.
erasers, pointers. You can choose your paper style. So you can have graph paper. You can have like larger graph paper, lined paper, just a white space. Line width, you can choose thin, medium, thick. You can choose text, shapes, and then you got all your color combinations. You can pick what color you want everything to be. What's nice is in this feature, there's a chat. So you can click chat. So anybody who's been invited to your whiteboard can then be a part of the chat for that whiteboard.
Sure.
Which I like. Then you don't have to bounce back and forth. Like if you're in Google or you're trying to comment with students back and forth, maybe you're not in a Google Meet or like Microsoft Teams where you're physically talking, but maybe you have students some students are working at home and some students are working at school, because I'm going to have that now. And the students don't physically have to be talking to one another, but they can be in the chat discussing what they're working on together. So I really like that that's there.
Sure.
File management. So you can choose any file, picture, and you can even capture what's on your whiteboard there. So you can like upload pictures and things like that. And then you have the sharing space where you invite to your whiteboard. They give you the code, and then you can share it out. So that way people can be interacting on the same whiteboard at the same time. So Notebook Cast, it's really, the toolbar is everything's straightforward. It's right there for you. You can pull up Google Meet, be the presenter, and be walking through students through it, and they can be working on it at home. Or again, like I said, you could be like just share out like this code, and then your students can be working together.
Yeah, they could be doing group work and quietly. They could have their headphones on, and they could be doing group work, listen to Spotify
without talking. You mean
without talking to each other, just chatting and via the board.
Yeah, and it's very, again, there's not like a billion bells and whistles, but the fact that it's very clear and very streamlined is nice, and it's very easy to share, which I like too. Even though it's not like a Google tool where we're always like sharing things, you're able to do that, which I really like. And then once the students have their work done, like if they've been working together, the create whiteboard capture is right there, which is great. So then students can capture what they've done and share it off with you, and you'll have seen that set of group work together. I'm doing I can't decide the name of what I'm going to do, but I'm going to have my students in groups to do group work, but we have to be 6 feet apart and they can't breathe on one another, and some of my kids will be at home. So what I'm going to do is they're going to be called like campfire groups is what I've heard other people call them, but it's 4 or 5 kids that are always together. And that way they're more comfortable with one another online. But this will be a shared space where then they can do their brainstorming together, and then one person just screen captures it and sends it to me, so that way I have their group work without having a bunch of documents and things like that I don't necessarily need. Sure. So again, Notebook Cast, I love it as a whiteboard space, very simple to use, but it's got all the tools that you need to be able to share out information and brainstorm together and work together. And I like that it's set up that you can work it on iPads too, because I know some of the younger students in our building, they just have iPads to work with. So the fact that it's like set up to do that too is really nice, and I think that's really helpful.
Yeah, I'm drawing. I'm playing with
Are you
it.
drawing?
Right,
I was wondering.
I'm just trying to see, like, the one thing that I'm not finding out with this one is if you draw something, it doesn't look like you can move it.
You can.
Can you? Okay.
I think so. I was playing around with it when I've done it before. You've been able to, like, if you drop a circle in, is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, and once it's there,
you can hit the X and cancel things, and then there's an eraser.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure you can manipulate your shapes.
Yeah, I think you can until you hit the checkbox.
Yes. Yeah.
And then once you've hit the checkbox,
it's
there.
like saved into that spot.
So, and I don't see, let's see.
As we're both clicking around here, and we're going to draw and share things together. Here's our lines and shapes and circles.
Oh, pretty interesting.
Yeah. So it's really good, like math explanations and stuff too, if you're doing it live or you just need a space. Anyway, so Notebookcast, it's got a lot of it's simple. It lays out your features really well. But then also you can screen capture, share out your work, and students can show you what they've accomplished, which is really kind of cool.
Yeah, I dig it.
Cool. So that was Notebookcast.
Yes.
Notebookcast. The second one we're going to talk about today is called Whiteboard Fox. I love these names. And Whiteboard this Fox. One, yes, thank you. Are you going to start? Whiteboard Fox. It's another simple, straightforward, online. It's all there. What's nice is when you go to the first page, so Whiteboard Fox, it says start drawing, because you can just start drawing, or enter whiteboard ID. So if someone is going to share out their whiteboard, that's where you enter it right away.
Okay.
Sometimes I know students are like, where do I put the code? Like, this is on the first page. So right away you can decide if only you can edit your board, or if anybody who's a part of your board can edit. So that way you can control who actually has drawing rights. And then this, again, it starts off with graph paper. My favorite is like, I'm going to draw a triangle with like a pencil, and I can't draw a straight line on graph paper. Like, no, not going to happen. But if you scroll down to, on the left-hand side, you have all the tools. So drawing, erasers, moving, and things. Options, you can zoom in, zoom out, add text, pictures, share, copy all, snapshot, ruler. So the ruler is really handy, because when you click on ruler, then magically, your people who can't draw straight lines like me, your lines are automatically straight, which I thought was cool. I was just playing around with it. I'm like, what's the ruler for? I'm like, oh my gosh, that saves so much time with me trying to like draw and redraw things.
Rules.
I also like this on Whiteboard because they have a dark feature, so you can flip screens for all of you that like to flip them back and forth. I know you like to have a darker screen. I have a harder time reading a darker screen, so your own preferences. Again, this one goes full screen. I also like this one. You can take a little snapshot. So like Notebookcast, you can screenshot your work, share it as you want to, and put all of that information in there. This one works a little differently. Before, I know in Notebookcast, you like type into it and you can kind of drag things around. This one's really easy. You just type in your words. If you're going to put text in, and these you can drag anywhere on your sheet. So I know before you're saying sometimes it's harder to drag things around. This one you just click on it, drag it, and move it. Yeah. So that is different. And that's the words, I should say. The drawings are kind of set, but you can move your paper around however you'd like to. So again, Whiteboard Fox, I know some of our middle school teachers use Whiteboard Fox on a regular basis. They like how the graph paper is set up. They found it easy to use, and it syncs really quickly. It's tablet friendly again, which is helpful because you can like zoom in and zoom out on Whiteboard Fox if you're on a tablet, which is nice. So Whiteboard Fox, again, simple whiteboard setup. Easy to draw, easy to get information out there, easy to share out with your students with explanations. I know that sometimes you can talk till you're blue in the face, but they just need to see you write it all out and explain it. And I think that both of these are very helpful.
Agreed.
For that. So yeah, we got those two down.
We sure do. I could play on whiteboards all night. I know. All morning, all day, for your entire commute.
Nice. Yeah, just play on your whiteboard. So, the third thing I'm going to talk about is...
Bum, bum, bum.
You're so sparkly about this.
I am.
It's funny. Because I've been using it for a while, and I guess we've just never had a conversation about it. So, in our good old Google Waffle...
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know...
Smash that waffle button.
Smash the waffle button. smash that subscribe button to Google Jamboard.
Yes.
So if you didn't know, or maybe you've kind of skimmed past it because the icon doesn't stand out to you, or you thought maybe I have to have the Google Jamboard to make this whole snazzy thing work. But Google Jamboard is basically a whiteboard space. We'll kind of walk through it. There's 8 million templates out there.
Wow.
If you just say, I'm looking for something for Google Jamboard, so many other teachers have created templates. So don't reinvent the wheel if you don't need to. It's a whiteboard space. Go to your waffle, click on Jamboard. It looks like a circle with a rectangle that makes a J. It's orange and yellow. And open it up, click that little orange plus button.
Mm-hmm.
And once you do that, you've got a whiteboard space, which also, some people miss the feature that it clicks through like a Google slideshow as well. So you can work in one space and shift to the next one across the top of the screen. And you're able to shift between drawings or thought processes if you're explaining things. You do not have to have a Google Jamboard to use the Jamboard in your waffle, like the app, I guess is what we'd call it.
Yeah, you don't have to have the actual.
You don't have to have the physical Google
like
Jamboard.
$5,000.
I think it's more
Jamboard.
than 5,000. I'm pretty sure like 7.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
wow.
pretty expensive.
You
And
don't have
maybe
to have the 8,000. How are we going here?
the 12th. No, okay. So Google Jamboard, there is a little pen pencil on the side. You got your eraser, got your pointer. What I love is the sticky notes because if you look, elementary teachers or middle school or high school, I don't always say elementary because anybody can do this, but you can make the sticky notes basically like flashcards and you can use them as manipulatives on your screen. So if I type, I've seen it with word sounds, letter sounds, most often, or I've seen it with characterization or matching quotes with characters. So you've got matching things. You can pick sticky note colors like green. Mm-hmm. And you could do like science, solid, liquid, gas. Then you could do a whole bunch of different types of items that could be solid, liquid, or gas in a different color. And then students click to drag them to the category that they fit into. And so the little sticky notes on Jamboard become basically interactive, like matching game with your students. You can go through, you can upload your own pictures to it. So if you're doing diagrams, if you're doing explanations, you can do like even stories kind of set up through here. There's so many different ways and content areas that you can use Jamboard in. There is shapes, so you can do a circle if you'd like to. And you can order them and everything like you kind of would in a Google drawing. You also have the options to change the background color. And so you can change it to like this. I know you were playing with them before. You can change, it's up at the top. Yeah. So background, there's different graphs. There's the little dots. To me, it reminds me of the dot game where you like connect them.
It'd be
to
perfect
make
for the
X.
dot game. You could play virtual dot game with your peers. You could play virtual
dot game with your students. There's a gray grid. There's like this dark bluish gray color. So you can switch it up. You can clear your frame entirely and move to the next slide. So there's just so many different ways that you can use Jamboard. And it's also Google, so you can share it with your students and make it interactive. Mm-hmm. It can be a view only, and they can make a copy. You can kind of assess students this way too. You can be in the same thing and watch like how they do things. So
there's also a pointer. So if you're doing like a screencast or something, you can use the pointer and point things out.
Yeah.
How would you use it for templates? Because I'm trying to figure out how.
So there's a bunch of templates online. There's one like graffiti. So there's this cool like graffiti template. You share out your Jamboard and then everyone like signs their name or puts a cool quote on it.
Oh, gotcha.
Or you can do templates of graphic organizers and then
you just like
say we're doing like a KWL and then it's in your columns and then you share it like a Google Doc. Okay. And then students would type in like their information.
Cool.
So they can work within your Jamboard.
I dig it.
And then also in your Jamboard, so if you look at your Jamboard space in the upper right hand corner next to share where the 3 dots are, in that space you can download your Jamboard as a PDF. You can also save the frame as an image, which is really helpful. Or you can make a copy of it. So that's where you find it. You usually would go to file, make a copy.
Yep.
But it's in those 3 dots in the upper right hand corner.
There it is. So, okay, that's cool. Yeah. And it shows up in your drive just like in normal. So you don't always have to go to the waffle if you once you have one open. It's
Yep. And you can also sort owned by anyone, owned by me, or not owned by me, because if you have some that are owned by anyone, you can kind of share templates with people.
Yeah.
Like within your district and stuff, which is kind of cool. And so you can share them and have them and work with them. So as a whiteboard space, a brainstorming space, a practice space, there's just so many different ways you can use this Google Jamboard space, especially with online learning or like blended learning, like we're working on, where you want interaction, but maybe can't be there all the time. So
yeah, that's cool.
That's pretty cool. I do have to say, I did throw this out on my Facebook page. Like, what do you guys use for whiteboards? I know also, like my district this year, I've always used Screencastify, the free version. My district paid for the unlimited version this year.
Okay.
So you do have like writing tools in the paid version of Screencastify. Trisha Lewis, my buddy, she was talking about how she uses not necessarily a board itself, but she uses Web Paint extension, which I'll talk about. Thank you, Trisha, for sharing that. I'm going to talk more about the Web Paint when I do an extensions episode, but you can write on any website, which is pretty cool. And Classroom Screens is another one we've talked about a lot, and that one always has a whiteboard space that you can write in too. So those are just some other options that are out there. There's a billion different ways you can do it, but as long as you've got a space that's digital and shareable, and you can add some colors or cute puppy pictures in there or something, you can find a space to kind of share out your information with students. And
could you use, just thinking out loud here too, let's say you really like to draw. What's the projector you guys have? I forget what it's called, where it's like a document camera type, like top-down camera that projects up onto the screen in your school.
A document camera?
Oh no, it's got a name. I thought it started with a B. What's it?
An Elmo?
Elmo, that's it.
I don't have any of those.
You don't have, okay, but if you had an Elmo, could you use that to screen?
You can use document cameras in Google Meet.
Okay.
So like I've just set up our district where you can have your document camera set up. It's projecting onto your smart board, and you can be running Google Meet at the same time.
So you can be sharing as you're writing.
Yeah.
So they see your hand and all that.
Yeah. So you can like annotate articles and read together.
Yeah.
And you can be running it in Google Meet and on your smart board at the same time.
That's pretty cool.
It depends on the setup and it depends on your document camera. The ones that our district just like happened to purchase, they have that capability. If they're a little older, they may not.
Because unless you have,
but a lot of them connect to Google Meet just fine.
Like these boards are awesome, and I love the sticky notes, and I love the shapes and the text boxes and things. But if you want to be able to write quickly, if you're using a tablet, it's pretty easy because you can use a pen or like a pencil. But if unless you have like a Wacom tablet, you can't like really write well. You know what I mean?
Right.
Unless you're really good using your trackpad or your mouse. But
right.
So
yeah, that's
takes a little practice, but
right. And just like Jamboard, like you could do a lot of typing. I do more typing with my students. They don't usually handwrite stuff just because you never know with quality.
Oh, sure.
Coming up on the screen, so I do a lot of typing, but definitely,
I mean, my handwriting's horrible enough that everybody's better off if I type anyway. Typing.
But I do say, like with a document camera, a lot of them you can definitely set up where you have both running at the same time.
Super cool.
It's just a little tricky, but you can figure it out.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
awesome.
We're fired up for school this week. It's going to be good. We got our tech tools lined up.
Got your digital whiteboard?
Got a digital whiteboard or several.
Get your mask. You're all ready to go. Got
my headset. We're good to go. Thanks for tuning in. This has been the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast. If you ever have any questions, you can find me on Twitter at SmartNWI. And if you ever want to get more information on the links to the technology discussed in this episode, you can visit smartnwi.com or on the Facebook page. You can share your ideas with us. That would be awesome. New episodes each week. Thanks for listening. Go educate and innovate.
The ideas and opinions expressed on this podcast and the Smart NWI website are those of the author, Shanna Martin, and not of her employer. Prior to using any of the technologies discussed on this podcast, please consult with your employer regulations. This podcast offers no guarantee that these tools will work for you as we've described, but we hope they do. And we'll talk to you next time right here on the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast.